All right, Shalom. First off, I'm going to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakodash, Yahweh being the Heavenly Father's true name, Yahweh Shai being the name of His only begotten Son. Double honors unto the elders and the apostles, the great millstone who rule well and teach well. Peace, blessings, and salutations to all you walking throughout the four corners of the earth, continuing to push and do the works in truth and in sincerity. All right, this is the brother Masha Mayum, one of the men here with the GMS branch out here in the morning camp, here with another lesson through the Spirit. And Salaki for the noise in the background. I'm in my car and it's kind of I think it's like rain and some like hail or something like that. But basically the point of the lesson is gonna be don't procrastinate. Okay, dealing with not putting things off from every day. Okay, things you need to do. All right, especially in the spirit. And it's something that I got to check myself on, and something I have made a mental note about myself, so without further ado, let's get into the lesson, and Lord willing, it's edifying. But this is Sirach chapter 5 and verse 7, and it reads, "Make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, and put not off from day to day, for suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord come forth, and in thy security thou shalt be destroyed and perish in the day of vengeance." Okay, and upon returning and coming back into this truth, all right, we don't want procrastination, okay, to be a tendency or a habit that we have, right? Because it says putting out off from day to day, okay. So each and every single day you wake up, right? You don't want to put off what you got to do for the work of the Lord, all right. If you got to read, right? You got to finish the apostles. You got to get in a lesson or whatever the case may be, right? And once again, speaking to myself first and foremost, okay, because this is something that I have slipped up on many times, okay, and of course, Lord willing, I'm working to do better on it, right? But you could, it's easy to make that, make that excuse of I'm gonna just do it later on, when really, okay, because like the scriptures also say, right? Let's get this real quick. The book of, because what does it tell us in the book of Jeremiah, right? This is Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 9, and it reads, "The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it?" Okay? And I wanted to focus on it being deceitful at times, okay? Okay, because, your own mind can play tricks on you, and, you're telling yourself, oh, I'm going to put it off, okay? I'm going to wait till later on at night or whenever to, get what it is I got done, right? And you might still get it done later on, but what the point is, it says the heart is deceitful above all things, so your mind can still use that as a way of an excuse of putting it off, right? If you got free time on your hands, as soon as you wake up and you got hours, throughout the day to get what you need to get done, then go ahead and get it done. All right. What's wrong with doing it right then? Why do we you got to put it off, right? These are things that I had to check myself on, But from here, let's go to let's get the book of Proverbs chapter 27 and verse 1. Salakia. Let's get Ecclesiastes 11 and 4. I'm gonna get it in the blue letter too. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 11 and verse 4, and it reads, "He that observeth the wind shall not sow, and he that regardeth the clouds shall not reap." Okay, and it's dealing with the farmer, okay, dealing with sowing, right? Let's read in the NLT. Farmers who wait for the perfect weather Salakia. Farmers who wait for perfect weather never plant. If they watch every cloud, they never harvest. All right. So their mind is, focused on, it being the right time all the time. Okay. Which a lot of the times can really just hold you back and throw you off from doing what you need to do right then and there when you have time. Right. You can't wait for the time, to where it feels good for you to do it. Okay. Or it feels convenient. Right. Or throughout the day, you haven't ate none. So you want to eat first. And then, when you feel comfortable, then you want to, do what you got to do for the work of the Lord. Well, hey, we can't do that. Right. It's best to simply do what you need to do for the Lord right then and there. Okay. And if, and a lot of the times too, when you actually go ahead and do it and get it out the way, it feels a lot better because then you have free time throughout the day, right? So from there, let's also get let's get Matthew chapter 6 and jumping down to verse 34, okay? Because this is what the Lord said himself as well, right? This is Matthew chapter 6 and verse 34, and it reads, "Take therefore no thought for the morrow shall take thought for itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof." All right. So, it says, take not thought for the morrow, right? So basically dealing with what? Use the time that you have on your hands, okay, wisely. All right. Worry about what you got to do today, okay? Use the time that you have on your hands today, okay? And don't worry about tomorrow, right? Because tomorrow is going to have its own problems and you don't know what tomorrow can bring about, right? And once again, this is something I got to work on myself and do better at, okay? Because like we just read, the heart is deceitful above all things. So you can make excuses, okay, to put it off, all right? Or you can look at your week, okay, and say, I can chill this day, but then the rest of the 4 days a week, then I'm gonna put in effort. Well, that's something that has to stop, okay? And this is something I want to do better at myself, right? Because let's also get let's get the book of Proverbs, chapter 27 and verse 1, and it reads, "Boast not thyself of tomorrow, for thou knowest not what a day may bring forth." Okay, and it's pretty much saying the same thing, okay? Boast not thyself of tomorrow, for thou knowest not what a day may bring forth, right? And basically dealing with what? Worrying about what you got to do, okay? Like the Lord said, sufficient for the day is the evil thereof, okay? So worrying about the things you got to handle and deal with today. Worry about today's problems, right? And mainly really what? Focusing on the work of the Lord, okay? Because, really, the work of the Lord should be the main priority each and every single day, right? Because like the Lord said, let's get this real quick. This is Matthew chapter, man, it was right up above the last precept we just read, but this is Matthew chapter 6 and verse 33, and it reads, "But seek ye first the kingdom of the Most High, and its righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." Okay? So what? Seek ye first the kingdom of the Most High. So each and every single day, because when you read up, let's go to it real quick. Because when we read 31, it says, "Therefore take no thought, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or wherewithal shall we be clothed? For after all these things do the Gentiles seek, for your heavenly Father knoweth that ye have need of these things." Okay? So, the main priority, of course, should be waking up to do the work of the Lord, right? And once again, of course, we're in the flesh and you got to do what you got to do. Jake might have their own routines and how to do things. So, not saying there's anything wrong with that. If you get up, okay, you put something in your stomach first, of course, that's normal, right? Or you might go to the gym and work out, or you might even just eat first and then do what you got to do. But the point is, you still make the work of the Lord the priority, okay? Your time isn't consumed with worrying about what you got to run around and go do, and not, the work of the Lord, right? But basically it says what? "But seek ye first the kingdom of the Most High and its righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you," right? So really our mind is supposed to be focused on, doing what we got to do for the Lord each and every single day first, and the Lord is going to work everything out, right? So from here, let's get Proverbs chapter 6, and jumping down to verse 6, and it reads, "Go to the ant, thou sluggard, consider her ways and be wise, which having no guide, overseer, or ruler, provideth her meat in the summer, and gathereth the food in the harvest. Okay, and specific once again dealing with the ant. All right, you can look up different videos. You can even Google different things. Okay, the ant is actually the ants are some of the hardest working insects. Okay, and when you look it up, all right, and the Lord is making a comparison onto that, and it's written in the scriptures for a reason, right? It says, "Go to the ant, thou sluggard, and consider her ways, which having no God, overseer, or ruler," right? So an ant doesn't have somebody over him telling him what to do, right? It simply gets up and does what it does. "Provideth her meat in the summer, and gathereth her food in the harvest. How long wilt thou sleep, O sluggard? When wilt thou arise out of thy sleep?" Right? So you want to what? Apply that same diligence and effort, okay? Just like it's being compared to the ant. Well, as a human being, we want to be that, okay? Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Ashah for the Lord, okay? In verse 9 it says, "How long wilt thou sleep, O sluggard? When wilt thou arise out of thy sleep?" Right? And we can apply this, of course, waking up, right? You might like to sleep at times, okay? And of course, we all know sleep is comfortable, right? But it says, "How long wilt thou sleep, O sluggard? When wilt thou arise out of thy sleep?" Okay, and we can apply it to how long are you going to relax, okay? How long are you going to just sit there and not, do the work of the Lord, right? Because it said, "Oh, sluggard," so you don't want to sit back and not get to what you need to get to, right? Verse 10, "Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep, so shall thy poverty come as one that travaileth, and thy want as an armed man," right? So dealing with what? Being up and getting to work and doing what you need to do, okay? Especially, the spiritual work, all right? Because we most definitely are at work with for the Lord, okay? The Lord said himself, "I must work the works of him that sent me." So this is the spiritual work is what has to come first, And it said, "So shall thy poverty come as one that travaileth." So dealing with, looking at it, first later, okay, you just laying there asleep. You're never going to get up and get to what you need to do, okay? Pretty soon you're going to notice you're short on your money, okay? Or whatever it is you got to do, right? Or you didn't get a lot done throughout the day because what? You laid there and slept, okay? Well, applying it through the spirit, just kicking back, how long you keep doing that for a long time, hey, you're gonna find yourself falling short and not having enough time, But from here, let's go to let's get James chapter 4 and verse 17. This is James chapter 4 and verse 17, and it reads, "Therefore, to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is sin." All right? So throughout the day, you got to get up. You got to read. You got to do what you got to do, right? You have the time on your hands, but if you don't do it, okay, as scriptures give us, the precepts on how to be, okay, showing diligence, right? But if you don't do it, then what? It is sin unto you, all right? Because you knew in your mind you were supposed to do it, but you fell back and ended up not doing it, okay? That's why, like it says in 2 Corinthians, let's get this real quick, 13 and verse 5, it reads, "Examine yourselves whether you be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know you not your own selves, how that Yahushua HaMashiach is in you, except ye be reprobates." Right? All right, so you want to examine yourself in the things that might make you fall short or the time that you have throughout the day, okay? And really examining overall the different ways, okay, that you can work around what you have to do, okay? Ultimately, to get the work the Lord in, But that's the point, it's just an exhortation, something that I'm trying to do better at myself. Not trying something that Lord's will and working on, to do better on myself. But With that, I hope it was edifying, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachakodash. Double honors unto the elders and the apostles, a grand millstone who rule well and teach well. Peace, blessings, and salutations to all you walking throughout the four corners of the earth, continuing to push and do the works in truth and in sincerity. Shalom.